Welcome back to another episode of the Warsh podcast. Just another solo episode today. Probably won't be one that's too long. But I have a couple of sticky notes on my wall here with some lessons that I wrote down from a book that I read. So maybe for today's episode, I can go through some of those and talk through a couple of those. So number one is to put yourself first. This one's more for people who struggle with people pleasing and avoiding conflict. And it's to try to put yourself first, to look out for number one in life, because at the end of the day, you're the only one responsible for you and for your happiness and for your well-being. Nobody else. So you have to be willing to look out for number one and to put your priorities and your needs ahead of others. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you know your worth, It just means that you value yourself and your well-being. So yeah. Another one we've got up there is don't settle. Every time you settle, you get exactly what you settled for. Another one that's, might make people feel uneasy, but, if you want something, you need to go out and get it, and you can't settle for less. Because every time you settle for less, what you're doing is subconsciously telling yourself that you're worth less. That you're only worth what you settled for. Instead of, going out and pushing for what you want and what you need. And, not settling is something that takes, it takes character and it takes, strength. And it also means you have to be willing to, you might be inciting conflict, which means you can't be someone who runs from conflict. It's going to test your conflict skills, your conflict resolution skills, but also your ability to plant firm and stand your ground and express your needs and get what you asked for. If you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always got. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It goes back to Albert Einstein and the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Because if you don't change what you're doing, then nothing around you is going to change. You have to have an internal locus of control and know that you can't change the world. You have to change yourself to be better and let the world react to that around you. But at the end of the day, the only person you're in control of is you. So if you see that things aren't going your way, more than often, that's an indicator that there are things that you're doing that you could be doing better, or things you're not doing that you should be doing. Ask for what you want. It sounds like a basic one, but it actually gets overlooked a lot, If you want something, be willing to ask for it. Don't push hidden agendas. Be extremely clear and specific with what you want and your intentions. Always. be never hide your intentions, never hide what you want out of someone or something. Because that's just another form of lying, whether it be to yourself or to someone else. And yeah, if you want something, go and ask for it. And the worst you'll get is a no. But guess what? The squeaky wheel gets the grease. So if you're not willing to ask, you'll never get. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Be clear and direct. Yeah, this one's a huge one. Don't be somebody who beats around the bush. Even if it means pissing people off, they'll respect you more, and you'll respect yourself more for being a straight shooter. If you need to get a point across, or you need to explain something, or you need to ask for something, you need to make yourself as easy to understand as possible. Be extremely clear with what you're saying, and don't beat around the bush. Get to the point. Just get to the point. That's what it's all about. Because if you're not being direct, if you're dodging around and indirect, all that shows is that you're scared and you're insecure. That's all it shows. Which is just going to make people respect you less. And it'll just make it harder for you. It'll just make it harder and harder for you to actually get to the point you want to get to. Because, you're just going to have that anxiety building if you're not just being a straight shooter from the start. Don't tolerate the intolerable ever. That's a big one, because it comes to boundaries and self-worth again. Don't tolerate intolerable behavior. Because if you do, that's just saying, I'm going to let people push me around because I don't care enough about myself, and I don't hold myself in enough esteem, and I'm not a strong enough person to hold my ground and stand my ground. That's this is Boundaries 101. This is Boundaries 101. It's about learning to draw that line in the sand and pulling the trigger if someone crosses it, That's Boundaries 101. Because a boundary that you let slide and are constantly changing, that's not a boundary at all. It's just not. You're missing the whole point. No matter what happens, you will handle it. It's true. Unless you die, in which case, doesn't matter anymore, you're dead anyways. You'll get through it. Whatever you're going through, you can handle it. You'll live to see another day, Things tend to turn out okay in the long run. If it frightens you, do it. Yeah, do your best to not let fear hold you back from stuff. Because I think I've said this before, but a weak person and a strong person both feel the exact same amount of fear. The only difference is that a strong person doesn't let it stop them. That's the only difference. A strong person can just act through the fear anyways. Which is way easier said than done, but it's something to work on, step by step. Whatever you do, do it 100%. yeah, just don't half-ass stuff. That's a pretty great, like, ground rule to have, you know? Don't be somebody who goes through life half-assing stuff. Because that just says you're too insecure to invest yourself fully into things and give things your best shot and your best effort because you're scared you might fail. That's a pretty pathetic mindset to have. You are the only person on this planet responsible for your needs, wants, and happiness. Another true one. The buck stops with you at the end of the day. Like, unless you are a child being taken care of, like who still is dependent on your parents, your life is your responsibility. It's 100% your responsibility, no matter what anybody else tells you. It's all on you. At the end of the day, it's all on you. Don't let anyone fool you. If what you are doing isn't working, try something different. This just goes back to the previous point, yeah, of, you know, try, see the result, analyze the result. Did it go good? Did it go bad? If it went good, okay, let's just keep doing it. If it went bad, okay, let's change things up. Even if it went good, there are probably still areas where you could do better, you know? Do not let anyone treat you badly. No one ever. Yeah, huge one. I don't care if it, you know, it doesn't matter if it costs you everything. It's not worth the price to be mistreated. Because, you know, you can find a new job. You can find, you know, if your boss is mistreating you, you can find a new job. If your partner's mistreating you, you can find a new partner. But it's a lot harder to find your self-respect and your dignity when you lose those. It's a lot harder. So, just something to think about. Stop blaming. Victims never succeed. Yep. Blaming other things is a loser's game. Excuses are just another way of saying I'm a loser. It's as simple as that. And I think that's a good place to stop it for today. It's, you know, not a crazy episode by any means, but at least we got one out there today. So if you made it to the end, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you back here again in the next video, or in the next podcast episode. Peace.